everybody, and it's really, really nice to see so many people here and friendly faces that we've seen so many times year after year, and thanks to all those who came on the port tour yesterday, and I know there's a lot here who've done it before, so thank you for showing interest in our facility. As many people have said, it's quite difficult now to see the screen, but we'll give it a go. I'm just going to give you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of who we are and what we do. So Milford Haven Port Authority was ultimately governed by an Act of Parliament set up in 1964. We have an independent board of directors, and our Lords and Masters ultimately are based in Westminster at the moment, although I think with further devolution powers that may change sometime soon, possibly. Other examples of trust ports which you might know of, the likes of the Port of Tyne, the Port of Dover, they are typical examples. We have, I suppose, a number of key responsibilities within the haven. The first and foremost is actually to make sure that all of the vessels which come in and out safely, guided in by our pilots, and make sure that there is no pollution incidents, no groundings, etc., etc. We have a responsibility also for the maintenance of the existing infrastructure and to make sure it's there for future generations. One of the key aspects of trust ports, I suppose, compared to a private business, is that any money that we earn once we pay our taxes, which are due to the government, we actually retain them in the port, and we can reinvest them in the port for investment for future generations. And one of the key aspects of that is to make sure that we can, well, just generally create some good economic vibrancy around the area and some economic growth. Our current portfolio is the ownership of Milford Haven, which is the biggest fishing dock in Wales, and also Pembroke Port itself. And I'll just concentrate now on the Pembroke Port aspects. So we've got 28 hectares in total, which is 69 acres in old money. It's an old military site. It was 200 years old last year. We had the privilege of having the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh come to visit us, and various other dignitaries throughout the year. And of course, that's great on the one hand, but on other hands, it gives some really big challenges for us, because we have some quite old and historic structures, and of course, as everybody knows, the likes of Cadw in Wales and the heritage people, they take great pride in actually making sure that they're there for future generations as well, and that doesn't necessarily fit that easily with our aspirations, which generally is to try and create a renewable energy park in the area. So we've got some challenges in that area. The Gate 2 and 3 area of the port is the Irish Ferries terminal. We have a ferry turn up there twice a day, every day, and basically that has about 330,000 passengers going through it, 125,000 cars and about 70,000 trucks a year. What we do in the general cargo port area is we're very, very used to doing very big engineering projects. There's quite a number of people in the supply chain around here which have generated their businesses through the years for the energy sector. And of course, we don't need to be reminded that the energy sector can change. It's changing in terms of things like the Kyoto Agreement. It's changing in terms of what's been in the haven. Started off with 5 refineries. Recently, until last year, had 2 refineries. Unfortunately, one of those is closed. So for us, we've got to move with the times, and we've got to sort of look forward. And I suppose attending here today and with all of you people here, you know, part of the future has to be the renewable energy sector, and by default, we have to be interested in that. So we've got a deep water site with no lock gates, 24/7 security, and a site which is partially developed but not fully developed. You probably can't see it, but that's a picture, and most of you have probably been round here, so I'll just skip through that one. Again, if you could see the pictures, this is typically some of the heavy loads that we do. We do things like animal feed, we do things like sand and gravel, but we also have these very large energy projects as well. And I think the biggest component part that we've ever lifted off the quay is 2,000 tonnes. So when we're looking at, say, Tidal Energy's device, which at the moment is 200 tonnes as a test device, but will be maybe 350 tonnes in the future, we sort of been there and got the handout, which is very useful. So just moving on, sort of servicing the industry, we had a visit a number of years ago from Tidal Energy Limited and Martin and Chris, who I'm sure you all know extremely well. And we decided that we were going to support this industry, and the Tidal Energy device, it's been sitting there, to be frank, a bit longer than we originally thought. I promised I wouldn't say that, Martin, but I have. No, I mean, it's great actually to see something happening, and we're very proud of that. We've got quite a few people interested in the site, obviously with the Marine Demonstration Zone moving forward. We've got another company, Marine Power Systems, who have announced that they'll be making a quarter-scale device during the course of this year, and we'll be hosting them as well, and we're really looking forward to that. The South Pembrokeshire Demonstration Zone, which I know you've heard about this morning, that's an integral part of what we believe could be the future. Obviously, that's a sizable chunk of seabed that's going to be used ultimately for wave devices. And again, we've got a lot of interest in that particular area at the moment. So I mentioned very briefly that where we're really going with an awful lot of this, the Gate 4 site, which is about 13 hectares, which is approximately 32 acres, we bought in 2008 from the Royal Navy, and in general it hasn't been developed particularly well. We've got some very, very good tenants in that area, Mustang Marine, which has been talked about, and also Svitzer's. But generally, there is a great opportunity in that area to develop about 10 hectares of that particular site into a renewable energy park, and that's where we're going with this at the moment. We've invested so far during the course, latter part of last year, early part of this year, about £200,000 in a master plan, just purely looking at the possibilities for renewables. Some of that relates to heritage issues, because I mentioned earlier that we have got some heritage issues, but that's where we're heading, and I would just encourage everybody to come and talk. And really, I suppose one of the key differences here compared to Orkney, when we were talking about before, is that there is a very, very strong supply chain here. It is slightly remote in the form of Wales and on the sort of southwestern tip, but on the other hand, given the 50 to 60 years worth of sort of gas and refining in this particular area, the supply chain is really, really strong. A combination of the gas plants themselves and refineries, plus the supply chain, employs around 4,000 people in this area. Somewhere in the region of 2,500 of those people are in the direct supply chain, and have benefited greatly in the past from the refining that's gone on around here. In the past 10-15 years, what we've noticed in Pembroke Port is that there's quite a lot of time being spent with. Sorry, some holding up a 2. Is that 2 minutes to go? Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
They've all got scores.
Sorry. That was probably out of 100.
That's
actually.
the first score you've had so far.
So. No, there's certainly great opportunities for the supply chain. What we've noticed with a lot of the companies is they started exporting an awful lot of their goods way beyond the haven. Originally, it was sort of haven-centric, but we now find stuff going up to the North Sea. We've had stuff going out to Iran and Iraq. And as far as the renewables are concerned, with the sort of, not demise yet, but the sort of lessening of the influence of hydrocarbons, as a trust port, we've got to find some way, somehow, to actually make sure that the people that are employed in this area maintain their employment status, and that's really where we are. So, just generally, our vision at Pembroke Port: provide port services and infrastructure which positively contributes to the Welsh and UK economies, seek out opportunities to stimulate economic development and increase employment opportunities for Pembrokeshire, and develop the site to meet the changing needs of our clients and the sectors in which we operate within. And certainly that is renewables as far as we're concerned. Thank you very much.